So as a final step in this fun adventure, I have cleaned the lower jewel here for for this particular watch, and now I'm trying to reassemble it by just placing that jewel into the jewel hole, and that can be tricky. Again, it's nice if you're able to push that down with a stake or something, right? And find the right size stake to do it with. And it's great to have a concave stake so that you're not putting any pressure on the jewel itself. So a stake that's got a little bit of a hat on it like that, right? And you're able to push straight down onto the setting. The stake is just a bit too big to do that, so I've got to pick a different one. So this stake might work here. I mean, it looks like it's a little smaller than the other one, but I'm not 100% sure. It does need to go down. So that worked. I used this stake here. Again, with a little small end on it. Now this is flat. I should have probably used it concave, but when I pulled it out, I didn't think it was flat. So I should have watched what I was doing there. But anyway, no foul, no harm, no foul. So now I can oil that jewel very carefully. In this case, I want that oil to be on the right side here. So normally what I would do here is oil the jewel cap itself and then turn that around. So there's the cap itself, and I just have to make sure it's in right. It goes in like this, right? So, and I can see the two edges of the jewel cap here, and I want to be able to grab it and put it down just like that. So I'm going to turn it around and then oil it right there like that. So just put a little tiny bit of oil on that, and then turn that around like this, and then align the movement with the jewel cap. Just drop that in like so. Or cap jewel. Probably shouldn't call it the jewel cap. It's actually a cap jewel. And I think it's in all the way. Well, it's snapped in some more, so let me have a look at the other side. And yeah, I'm good. It's funny, that snapping sound worries me. When I click, as it just clicked down onto the jewel itself. And of course, being as anal retentive as I normally am, I line the screws up with their accompanying buddies. So I make sure I put the left screw on the left side. And the right screw on the right side. I've already oiled all the other jewels. I didn't show that on the video, but I did. And this is important because this is to do with the balance as well. So you want to make sure that this has the right amount of oil on it, because it's the lower balance staff that's going to contact the cap jewel when it's in place. So there, that is oiled. And now I just have to grab, all the rest of it is also oiled. And I know that I've got that working perfectly from before. And now all I have to do is put the face back on, because I was farting with the face. So I'd like to again thank everyone out there in Watchland for supporting my videos and all the kind words that everyone had to say. I'm actually on a lunch break right now trying to finish this watch off, because I have to leave for the cottage after my last meeting at 3 o'clock. As I've already put my hours in this week. So, but I won't make sure that I'm at the right meetings at the right time. So I'm trying to get this done, just assembled to the point where I can store it for the weekend and then come back. So I just want to line this up again like I did last time and get right over the top of this thing. It should drop down just like that. Perfect. and then lift that up, put a little bit of pressure on the face of the watch while I tighten the dial feet screws, the DFSs. There's one. The good thing here is I don't have the balance in right now, so I'm not freaking out over touching the hairspring. The DFSs. Everything in my business has to have an acronym or it's just not worth anything. And turn the light on in the camera here so you can see a little bit of light here. And then just tighten these dial feet screws up like that. So there, we're good there. Dial's still in pretty darn good condition. I do see a little hair. So stop the press, folks. There is a hair on the dial. Stop the press. No, it's actually hold the press. And now I have to deal with the balance. Just moving the screws from the balance here with the slight hope that I'll be able to remove that cap jewel from the top. And there is the cap jewel removed from the top. Brilliant, because I'll be able to add it looks pretty clean. I'll be able to add the oil then right on the cap jewel here, which is brilliant, folks, just brilliant. So you can't always do that, but I want to clean off the face of this cap jewel right here. It actually looks like it's in pretty darn good condition. Again, I checked at a reflection of light on the cap jewel to see if I've got all the gum off it. And usually I do. And then I'll hold the cap jewel with my tweezers just to make sure there isn't any extra stuff on there. I'll hold the cap jewel with my tweezers and just dab the Rodico down a few times. And look at the reflection, and it's impeccable. And now I want to add some oil to that cap jewel. And I'll use the 9010 because that is the best oil to add to that cap jewel. And there we go. That's not too much oil. Put the oiler away. And then put that cap jewel back in on there. Oh, okay, I screwed up. As you see, the cap jewel has stuck to the tweezers, which means you got to do it again. Clean up and re-oil. And also clean the tweezers so it doesn't have any leftover oil on it. And then try again. There's my oilers. There's my oil. I don't want to get too close here. It's right there, so that's the 9010 is on the end here. And I just need to put that again on that cap jewel. And then clean that off, and then I can place that on top again. This is a tricky one because the jewel setting itself is not very wide at its base. And drop that down. Now that jewel is in place, and I just need to put those screws back. Somebody online said that if I ever go through surgery, they want to get a hold of me so I can help remove their brain problem. not understanding that I too may have a brain problem. Alright, let's hold that in place. That went in nicely. You know it's going in nicely when it's following the thread. If it's not following the thread, then back up, because you'll strip it. Alright, that just jumped out of my tweezers. So I put this in and it wasn't following the thread, so I backed it up twice. And then I could feel it actually making contact with the thread, so that's good there. So the balance is done. Now I'm going to use my dunker tank and dunk the balance and hairspring into lighter fluid. So, but I've got the jewel in the top complete, so I don't want to over dunk it to impact the jewel in the top. So I'm going to go away and do that, and I'll be right back. Now the balance is ready for installation, so I don't want to scratch the face, but I do want to use my number 56 Myers movement holder. So I'm going to put a cloth on there first and then widen it a bit, and then I just want to be able to have the balance on the side here so it can enter the just like that, and make sure it's down but not down so far that it doesn't fit. So what do we got here? Like this and like this maybe? Yeah, I think that's good there. I'll tighten it up a little bit, but I don't need to tighten it up a lot. Now the good thing with this particular balance, and the face is actually inside of the metal, so I'm not really touching or putting any pressure on the face at all. And now that I've got the balance ready to rock and roll, let's see if I can get some action on this. So the first thing I want to do is move my palette fork over to the other side, like that, and then I want to enter the balance from that side. So, and I'm going to be very careful that when the balance goes in place, that I don't have other issues here. I want to be very careful putting it in. So I put it in like this, and then it goes in like that underneath the wheel, like this, and into where it's supposed to be, and then turn it like that, and then make sure that everything is lined up, and you do that. And I've got some ticking, which is excellent. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to put that screw in, and then I'm just going to let this thing work itself in. And hopefully I get the amplitude that I'm hoping for out of this balance. But it may take a little while for the balance itself to work itself into its new home. And again, I'll put some pressure again on the back here, and I lifted it up just a bit, and that was enough to cause the balance to stop. So I'll screw that down, and again I want to make sure the pivots are through there so I don't have other issues. So let me get in nice and close and screw this thing down. Now I'm going to see as well, is this magnetized or not? And if it's magnetized, I can fix that pretty quickly. I'll get my little mini compass out here and see if it's got magnetism issues. It's even turning better right now than it was before. So, and it looks like there's a little tiny bit of magnetism in here that you can see. And I also want to see if the leaves of the hairspring are compressing properly, and there's no issue there at all. And so we just want to get this thing working a bit, and it's wound up but not significantly. And what I'll do is I will store the watch. I'll put it away for the weekend and let it run. That's the best thing to do. So there we go. That's the watch right there. I've got the case and everything else that can be reassembled after I've given it a weekend of running. I just want to make sure it works itself in nicely, right? So right now the amplitude's not that good, but I really don't have a wind on it, that much of a wind on it. But the amplitude could be a lot better. It just might need some convincing to get going. And even doing that a bit has gotten the amplitude up nicely. It doesn't seem to be slowing down. So we'll let that work its way in and see where we are. It's a nice old watch though. The hairspring seems to be compressing nicely, but I do need to demagnetize this bugger. So also, when you're looking at the watch too, is always look underneath to make sure it's true to flat, that the hairspring is actually compressing nicely and not touching anything. And I think we're good there. And then is it getting enough power? That's the question. That's always the question with one of these watches, right? So if I just loosen up the number 58 movement holder here just a bit, and I can rotate the watch here like so, which will give me access to the winding mechanism. And I don't think putting it in here is stifling it at all, so I don't think there's an issue there. But you never know. So do that and get out a bench key and maybe wind it up a few more turns here. Because it is an old watch and I'm using the existing hairspring, so there is that slight chance that the hairspring, or I said hairspring, I meant mainspring. There is a slight chance that the mainspring needs some work, but it looks like it's moving now. Spin that around here and let me wind this up. There we go. Yeah, now that starts working a hell of a lot better. So that's a fairly good, I think that's a fairly good amplitude there, but I'll have to check that in my amplitudometer. And I've got like 20 minutes to finish this job, and then I've got a meeting. So we don't want to miss our meetings, do we? This is my lunch. I'm sacrificing lunch here. This is for Donna. This thing seems like it's starting to tick nicely. Yeah, so I've got so far a 365 degree swing on this old watch, so it's not too bad. I'd like a bit better, but it's probably going to end up working itself in. So this is what typically happens. Plus I need to demagnetize it. I don't want to forget to do that. And I can put this, I want to see how far it's off from the accuracy perspective as well. Even though it's not running at a completely full amplitude here, I'm just going to have to bring it up to my meter and have a look. Also hold it sideways to make sure it still runs sideways, right? And then hold it upside down to make sure it still runs upside down, which is really right side up. And looking at the amplitude upside down and see what that looks like, right? It looks pretty much the same, which is nice. And I'm going to put that in my multifunction time grapher and just see where I sit right now from the time grapher's perspective to see if I need to do a whole boatload of adjustment on accuracy. So that's it for now, and I'll check you out later when I complete this watch. There we go.